Hello friends, Clage back to another Punishing Grey Raven video today, and I want to go ahead and do some updated information on Nirvatia and the Nihil Team writ large. As I mentioned in Nirvatia's guide, we did not have access to Warzone during the most recent test server, and that meant it was really hard to do any finite testing and give you good concrete answers on what kind of results I was getting with what memory builds and what team coordinations and all that fun stuff. So I want to go ahead and do a quick update and kind of talk about my findings now that we have an actual Nihil Warzone to play with here this week, and kind of help people better find what might be the best possible build given your investment and the current status of your Nihil team as you sit with Nirvatia now out as the amplifier. So, the good news about the Nihil team writ large is that if you had Ishmael and Luna built up and were running war zones with them, doing PPC with them, you know, your builds don't really have to change. They pretty much function as they did prior to Nirvatia's release. So for Luna, you're still going to want to run her 4-piece Cleopatra signature set, her 4-piece Kadi set, 15 attack up top, and her signature on the bottom. Nothing really changes there. Her weapon resonances also don't really need to change. She still wants damage rezos. I still personally run deadline timing on Luna. I am aware you can run double ult rotations on Luna without deadline timing. I just find it to be really, really finicky, and I don't like to deal with it, so I just like running DLT. But if you want to figure out how to finagle her double ult rotation without DLT, it is possible. I still personally recommend it, but experiment with your own Luna as you would with any other character. Ishmael honestly just gets a massive buff, not from anything in her own kit or her own memory setup. It's just the fact that now she mimics Breaker instead of Tank, and it turns out that's worth a whole lot of extra damage. So her memory setup also does not change. You'll want her 4-piece 6-set Sothoths for all the tank purposes and the buffs that she gives to Nihil damage and stuff, and then 4-piece Kadi to handle signature energy, buff her signature damage, as that's where the vast majority of her damage is. For the memory resonances, same as prior, 15 attack up top, her signature on the bottom. I did mess with class on Ishmael a little bit, and it was definitely a notable damage drop-off. Ishmael is still going to be doing multiple ult rotations with this team, even with Nirvatia's arrival, so I definitely recommend sticking with signature on the bottom over the class skill. It was not returning better results for me personally. Depending on what your team investment is, there is a world where the class skill gets you further with Ishmael, but if she's built to do multiple ult rotations, I think you're just going to get better results with signature on the bottom. Weapon resonances, that's memories. Good clicking, Clade. You're real good at making videos. As for the weapon resonances, she does still need deadline timing. Ishmael's very orb-hungry. Deadline timing just makes stuff much, much smoother. Regardless of which multi-ult rotation you're doing, you will want deadline timing. Especially early in the run, this really helps Ishmael get started, so you don't have to flub about for orb economy when you're first getting the run off the ground. After that, I recommend domain deconstruction, because obviously being a breaker, we want more tank, we want more shred. This just gives that throughout the duration of the run. And then after that, matrix lightning works fine for a damage resonance or incandescence, whichever one seems to get the best results for you. I tend to have better returns on matrix lightning, but I'll be honest, these are pretty close to one another. I don't know that they make a big difference one way or the other. But so Ishmael and Luna basically stay the same. Nothing really alters there. As for Nirvatia, with some further testing, I have discovered a few things. One, we don't need Nirvatia's signature set. It's just not necessary. It's not worth the opportunity cost of spending 4 slots on her signature set. The extra red orbs are nice, and it does enable very smooth double ult rotations, especially if you want to put deadline timing on her. But as it turns out, I don't think double ult rotations are the way to go with this character at all. A lot of Nirvatia's power comes from her unique buffs to the amplifier team, and not so much uniqueness in just that they're really big numbers. You just get a ton of extra Nihil damage across the whole team. And because all three of these characters can see consistent field time, get their rotations done in very nominal amounts of time, that means the amplifier buff becomes that much more powerful. Constantly having the amplifier buff up while doing multiple ultimates on your two main attackers and then having Nirvatia fill downtime while still being able to do a very healthy grip of damage herself just kind of turns this team into a very, very well-oiled machine. It reminds me a whole lot of when we first got Vera for the Fire team. And suddenly that team became very smooth to play. You didn't have to extend rotations for everyone. They all kind of lined up with each other very nicely, and it just meant the amplifier buff was effectively active for the entire Warzone. Nihil kind of gets that exact same benefit. If you want the easy set to build and just not think about it anymore, just go 4-piece Da Vinci, 4-piece Guinevere, 4 Warzone runs. This is going to work perfectly fine. The Da Vinci buff carries a lot of weight because you get a lot of QTEs with these modern characters. 4-piece Guinevere in Warzone is just too good to pass up. It is consistent damage throughout the entire Warzone run. I will note that for Pain Cage, you probably want to swap over to harmonizing 2-piece Einstein alongside 2-piece Guinevere, as that tends to give you a little bit more upfront burst damage when you're doing quicker fights like Pain Cage, but for long runs like Warzone, Guinevere is going to win out, at least in my experience. So this is what I recommend for your base build. If you are running a super high-end team, I'm talking, you know, S+ territory for everybody, you can opt to run a Kadi set on Nirvatia instead. Kadi enables some interesting tech for her at very high level where you can do multi-ult rotations even without deadline timing and have them both fit in the amplifier window. However, this honestly I think is only going to be really relevant if you are in what I'm just going to refer to as whale bracket. If you are not shooting for top 10 Warzone scores in Legend, this probably is not going to give you better returns. I'm still not totally sold on it, but I have been talking to players who are very heavy Warzone grinders and keep ears to the ground on what the S+ players are doing to try and maximize their Warzone scores. And there is some pretty gnarly stuff you can do with Kadi, but again, this is going to be an extremely high-invest, high-end team. If you just want to set it and forget it, Da Vinci, Gwyn, good, done. Very straightforward. Resonances actually do change up a little bit. It turns out her yellow orb is where it's at. Her yellow orb is where all the damage for Nirvatia's kit lies. It actually does what we in the fighting game community like to refer to as a grip. Resonating the yellow orb up top is just straight up better returns for Nirvatia than doing 15 attack. On the bottom, just do class skill. Her ultimate is actually not a very big part of her damage calculations. It does damage. It has time stop. It obviously, you know, contributes to the run, but just having the extra boost to the class skill, again, this is where a lot of Nirvatia's damage is carried. Her amplifier buffs and keeping the amplifier buff active for basically the entire Warzone, and her unique buffs that she has in her own personal kit. This is just too much benefit to pass up. Just do class skill. You do not want to waste 6 slots on the signature. It's just not going to give you the kind of returns you would like to see. So she actually has a Watanabe style setup where it's a color orb and the class skill, but this has returned far and away the best results for me. It has not been particularly close in my experience so far. So I think this is absolutely the way to go for Nirvatia moving forward. As for the whole team setup on where you want to place characters and all that good stuff, so here is how I personally like to set up the Nihil team currently. I like having... This did not save my thing, did it? All right, that's fine. Oh, right, because I was in training mode prior. I know why it did. Okay. So, what I like to do is have Nirvatia on yellow, Ishmael on blue, and Luna on red. The reason I like having Nirvatia on yellow is that... proccing her yellow orb. If Ishmael is there, I like having the order be Luna starts, swap to Ishmael, do your ult rotation, swap to Nirvatia, then swap to Luna, and repeat from there. When I had Ishmael and yellow, I was having issues where Ishmael's QTE would be up as I was trying to get Nirvatia off the field. So I moved Ishmael over to blue, and that solved that problem. That's probably the only issue you're going to come up with if you're doing the order I'm doing. I'm not going to necessarily tell you that my order is 100% the absolute best way to do it, but it's how I'm personally getting the best returns. But as always, experiment with your own team, see what kind of results you get personally. I did find that keeping Luna as the leader is the way to go. She benefits the most from the leader passive. The extra 20% damage is just enough to make it feel like Luna isn't falling behind in damage compared to the other two, and it just kind of balances out the team very nicely. The Nihil team is very much a team of balance right now. You want all three characters on the field. You want all three of them equipped well to do damage, while also supporting the team with their unique abilities, QTEs, and all that good stuff. But this is what I've been doing. It's been working very well, but I want to go ahead. I recorded my best Warzone run so far. I want to show a couple of the rotations of that. I'm not going to show the whole thing because you don't need to watch a 5-minute Warzone run to get the idea. But I do want to show what I've been doing and then list out Nirvatia's rotation and kind of give you an idea of how you can apply the updated team to running a Nihil Warzone and try and get the best scores out of it. So let me queue up that video and we'll talk about what this team looks like in motion now. Okay, so I went ahead and recorded my Warzone run after dozens of testing runs trying out the different builds I messed with. This run utilizes the Da Vinci Guinevere build for Nirvatia, and what I personally do for the Nihil team is I like to do a 2.5 rotation for Ishmael, double ult rotation for Luna, and a single ult rotation for Nirvatia. Ishmael, obviously, if you want to do the full 3.5 rotation, by all means, use that. I personally find it much easier and much more consistent to do a 2.5 ult rotation. It guarantees that everything I'm going to do fits in the amplifier window pretty comfortably, and I just tend to get better scores doing it that way. This is honestly kind of my own personal Ishmael rotation that I've adopted. I'm not telling you it's the perfect rotation, and when it comes to Ishmael and Luna, you're gonna have to base it on your investment for those characters, because both these characters change quite a bit depending on how well they are invested versus how well they are not. So the only rotation I'm going to put annotations for on this is going to be Nirvatia's. And I've already done that in her guide. It's just the single ult rotation, but I'll put it up again in this just for the reference. But make sure that you're adjusting your Ishmael and Luna rotations respectively based on how well they're invested. For the most part, you can do the double ult rotation with Luna as long as you have her leapt and have deadline timing. And even without deadline timing, as I mentioned, it is possible, but if you haven't been using double ult rotations with Luna and she's not able to get through 2 ult rotations without running out of orbs, feel free to modify and go to a single ult rotation. Again, I can't list out every possible route we can do here based on your personal investment level. I'm just going to show you what I am personally doing and kind of show you how Nirvatia slots into this and how the damage works out. Couple other caveats I do want to talk about real quick. One, as mentioned, there are some high-end techniques that are being found for Nirvatia to get double ult rotations within her amplifier window. They involve using the 4 for Guinevere setup, or I guess 4 2 Gwen, 2 Einstein if you're Pain Cage. I don't know if Nirvatia is going to be the go-to for this team in Pain Cage yet. I have to test that some more. But just note, there are some high-end ways to make Nirvatia get double ult rotations and stay within the amplifier window. They involve using Kadi and using the Raven transformation at very specific times, so I do know those exist. I'm not going to go over them right now because I'm fairly confident that is going to be pretty much whale-only territory, or for those of you who are grinding away for top 10 Warzone scores every week. And those are not the kind of people watching my guides anyway. They already know what they're doing. They know what goals they're trying to accomplish. They are not interested in what I have to say. Let's be honest about it. Secondary, I am fully aware that SP delay works on Nirvatia. Yes, I know it exists. No, I do not care. I'm not going to teach SP delay. I'm not going to worry about SP delay. It is a needlessly annoying mechanic that still feels like it's not intended. And if you want to use it to sweat harder and get higher Warzone scores, don't let me stop you. I'm not telling you how to run your Warzone. What I am telling you is if you come in here to tell me that, hey, you should point out SP delay, one, I've talked about this in multiple videos. I'm not doing it. I don't care. Two, if you're going to come in here and try and tell me that I don't do SP delay because I'm too bad or I can't execute it properly, one, I've played Guilty Gear for 23 years. Two, I have multiple world record speedruns. I am more familiar than you will ever be in 50 lifetimes with resetting the same game multiple times to try and get very, very incremental improvements in overall optimization. If you leave those comments, you're not going to get anything from me. I'm just going to bar you from making comments on the channel. I do not care if you're a sweat lord. If you are, cool. I'm not here to tell you how to live your life. I'm just telling you, if you come in here to try to tell me I am bad at what I do because I don't feel like resetting Warzone an extra 200 times every week when I'm literally playing the game way more hours than any normal person would to make content and videos, I'm just going to tell you your comment's not going to exist on my channel. So save yourself some time and some keystrokes and just don't do that and go back to practicing SD delay and enjoying your life. Cool? Cool. Excellent. All right, let's talk about this rotation and how I'm approaching the Warzone right now with this current build. So I like to start with Luna and then immediately swap to Ishmael, immediately ult, and if you've been playing Ishmael, you know how this works by now. So my Ishmael's triple S, so I do the red, yellow, red, dodge, dodge, red into her first ult. Let that play out. Immediately ult again. Hold dodge for the axe kick. And do red, red, dodge, dodge. Red when the orbs come back up. And then a lot of players from here will do a third full ultimate rotation with Ishmael. Again, I prefer to do 2.5. So I put her back in her ult form with the full 360 stacks, and then this is where I swap over, and then once Ishmael comes back, I will just immediately go into the axe kick. If you prefer to do the full 3 ult rotation, don't let me stop you. By all means, go for it. This is just my personal rotation I like better, and it has always gotten me better scores. From here, I swap into Nirvatia, and her rotation is the single ult rotation I put up in the guide. I'll go ahead and put annotations up here. We'll do it on the second rotation. I'll just let it play out in real time. But all I'm doing is what I taught you in the guide. So bring in, dodge immediately to cancel the bring in animation, 1 blue 3 ping into the yellow, and immediately cancel into the first ultimate. You don't need to let the plunge attack play out. Once she is in Blood Hunter form, same thing as I taught you in the guide, 1 red, immediately into the yellow. The yellow is going to do its massive grip of damage. Use her ultimate. And swap out. Like, that's it. That's all you need to do with Nirvatia right now. I think this works out really well. Her rotations, unless you are doing, again, the high-end whale stuff, are not going to be complicated or super spicy in any way whatsoever. And if you cut it down to a single ult rotation, the amplifier buff just keeps rolling. Everyone gets more damage. And again, the sheer bonus she gets as a Nihil-oriented amplifier, along with Ishmael becoming a breaker, this team vomits damage now. It's actually kind of funny. So, from here, going into Luna, I just do Luna's modern double ult rotation. Let me back up a little bit since I kind of missed the sauce there. So, same thing with Luna. If you've been doing her updated double ult rotation post-sleep, it's very simple. On the first bring in, dodge cancel the animation, use 1 yellow orb or 1 yellow 3 ping to get your ultimate, and then hold down ultimate for the alternate ultimate, hold basic for the big long attack, cast your ultimate, go back to base form, hold dodge, back into ult form, 2 3 pings, doesn't matter what color they are, into the hold basic. Do your second ultimate, and then make sure you do a 3 ping before swapping Luna off the field. That way, with every subsequent Luna rotation, as soon as she comes on field, you can just immediately hold ultimate. You don't have to do a 3 ping or a dodge cancel. She comes in the field, you just hold down the ultimate button, repeat her rotation every time from there. Very straightforward. From here, I swap back to Ishmael, immediately do the axe kick, And then red, yellow, red, red, dodge, dodge. Ult again, immediately axe kick. Red, red, dodge, dodge, red. Ultimate rips. Back into ult form again with the full stacks. Swap back to Nirvatia. So, same thing. I'll put the annotation up here, but I'll just let it play out in real time. From here, the rotations don't change. Literally, this is the rest of the run. There's nothing else to show you. But I'll go ahead and play this out so you can see Nirvatia in real time. I'll put the annotations up just so you have them. But let's back up just a smidgen, and we'll play it out in real time here. That looks good. So, swap Nirvatia in. Dodge. Blue 3-ping. Yellow. Ultimate. Red 3-ping. Yellow. Animation plays out. Ult 2. Swap off. That's it. There's the new Nihil Team rotation that I have been utilizing. Again, as a reminder, my Luna is SSS+, since I've been able to get her there with vouchers over time. Ishmael is SSS. Nirvatia is SSS on her way to SSS 3 and beyond with more voucher shards, but I'm waiting for the monthly reset so that I don't have to spend max vouchers on it, because I have a feeling we're going to be getting more regular voucher characters, considering we've gotten 2 free ones in, the last 3 months. If they continue to not make A ranks, I expect us to get more free characters. That means vouchers are that much more valuable to save if you can do it. So that should wrap up a good bit of how to handle the Nihil team going forward. Again, this is not meant to be a X copy my rotation, just put it on yours. You're going to have to experiment a little based on your investments. But I have found that as long as you already know how to do your Ishmael and Luna rotations, all you need to do is add in Nirvatia as a single ult rotation on top, and you're going to get pretty good results. So, with that being covered, let me go ahead and get back in, and we'll wrap up this update to the Nihil team. Alright, so that's going to put a wrap on the updated info for the Nihil squad. If we continue to not get war zones in test servers, and I'm strongly suggesting to the liaisons to please tell the devs to get a war zone open for us with the element of each new character so we can get better information for y'all when we put out these guides early. But if we do continue to not get that option in test servers, these kind of videos are probably just going to become a regular update. I think it's just going to be easier to have the guide be a more generic, suggested style build with the information I can personally get in the amount of time I have to work with the test server, and then doing an updated guide, not necessarily a guide, but updated information for anything that turned out to not be as optimal as I thought it was once we're actually running Warzone. Because you can do rotations on the training dummies, you can watch how much damage there is, and you can try and make your best guess on what's going to really work out best for a Warzone run, or even a Pain Cage run for that matter. But it's not the same as having the unique buffs that each Warzone has. Not only do Warzones have the weakness of whatever the element is, but as you all know, how that Warzone plays is different. We have the different weather, quote-unquote, effects that alter how the team functions, and sometimes you just don't know how a team is going to play or what the right amount of rotations is for each character until you can actually do the Warzone, look at your times and your scores, and get some real feedback on it. So, my general plan is going to be, if I don't have the ability to give complete and total information out the gate from the testing itself on the test server, then I'm going to do these updated videos probably a week later once we can get some more concrete information. I would greatly prefer to just be able to have really, really good info, dump it all in the guide, and have it be that. But that's the nature of working on test servers, working on unreleased builds. And in addition, I mention this all the time, I'm just one dude. Like, I'm not going to figure out all the nuances of a single character, even when I spend 20, 30 hours with them on a test server, testing lots of things, rolling out lots of different builds, trying different rotations. As one person, I can't cover it all. That's just not going to happen, and this is why I always say, experiment, check out other creators, find out what other players in the community are doing. Because the amount of stuff that was found for Nirvatia even just a few days after her release that I did not even put on my radar as a possibility happened a lot. It happened very quickly, and I can't say I'm super surprised by it, but it is a reminder that we're working with incomplete information sometimes on the test server, and I would rather put out a guide with general information explaining a combat kit, because that stuff I can explain in totality. I can show you how orbs work, how basic attacks work, what the basics of a rotation is going to look like. Those are pretty simple to parse out and give everyone a more broad scope of what a new character is and what they can do. But for getting the really, really finite stuff, it's just not realistic to do it testing by myself on a test server. Rotations evolve because the community evolves them. That's how this has happened in this game for a long time. You know, no character is solved when they're played in the Chinese beta. No character is solved when they're played on the test server. That starts happening once you can really put it live and in living color, when the game is actually up and you can build the team and try out different things. So that being said, my goal on this channel is always to give you the most accurate and helpful information I can. So if this is how the test server is going to work moving forward, then I will just make the guides the same way I've been making them. And then hopefully within a week or so, I'll do an update like this for anything I found, any changes to the builds and stuff like that. So as always, I say this in the guides too, but like when I tell you here's a memory build, just be aware that there is a good chance that it may not actually be the best memory build. It could be possible people find something out. It could be possible certain resonances end up much stronger than we realize. I did not put her yellow orb on my radar at all when I tested this character. I saw it was doing a lot of damage, but I did not for a second think it was going to be worth a resonance, because we skipped the yellow orb in the first part of her rotation. There's no reason to let that animation play out. So you just never know, and it's very hard to eliminate everything. Trust me, as someone who has been doing speedruns for almost 17 years now, I still refine the route of the game that I started running in 2010. You never are going to find everything, and so I think this is going to be the most eloquent solution I have for the time being, in terms of, hey, here is the follow-up to the original guide if you're looking for more optimizations and better overall results than what I could give you with what is just simply incomplete information. So, as always, if you have any questions, if anything didn't make sense, feel free to leave comments down below. I try to answer those as quickly and often as I can. This is not going to cover every possible set of investments that this team can have, but this update, the original guide, and now what people are finding in the community should be enough for you to make a judgment call on where you should be building Nirvatia and what kind of rotations you should be doing for your personal Nihil team. But as always, if you have questions, you have feedback, I welcome that down below. And yeah, I think that's good enough for now. I just wanted to do this update, keep it kind of simple, and give everyone some better info, because with a Nihil Warzone, I suspect a lot of you are going to be in there a bit this week, trying to figure out how to get your best scores. So, as always, I appreciate you all. Thank you for all the feedback and support. If you want to do the YouTube nonsense, like, comment, subscribe, it's always appreciated. It's never necessary. And with this done, I need to get back to the lore video, because I was very busy the last 4 or 5 days and haven't gotten much further on that. I will keep working on it. I'm going to try and have it out as soon as I can, but bear with me. This one has just kind of gotten interrupted by various things like my trip out of town and IRL being IRL. It happens sometimes. So, but anyway, I appreciate you all. Y'all take care, and I'll catch you in the next one. Peace.